is Janice Cobb of Save My Pet ID Tag. Engraved with your pet's info, they allow emergency personnel to start care for your pets if you're sick or injured. Head over to SaveMyPetIDTag.com and explore our products. They ensure peace of mind for you and for your four-legged family.
Our favorite fun guy is back. Fun guy, as in being an expert in mushrooms, but he's also a pretty nice man, too. He is internationally known for his knowledge in the medicinal benefits of mushrooms and other items for our dogs and cats. Please welcome back to our show the acclaimed integrative veterinarian, Dr. Rob Silver. Welcome back, Dr. Rob.
Thank you, Arden. It's so great to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me back. I really enjoy my time with you.
Dr. Rob Silver is on a quest to educate us about mushrooms.
I am.
He is. And guess what? His latest feat is. It is a huge book. You got to get your paws on. And I love the title. There's a mushroom for that. I believe it's almost, it is over 400 pages. The font is not gigantic.
No.
But what's in here is gigantic. And so we're going to go get a little tutoring from Dr. Rob Silver. But I want people to back up the truck. Tell people about the company, Real Mushroom.
Okay. Well, Real Mushrooms is a Canadian company, and they've been around about 9 years now. Their parent company, though, has been cultivating medicinal mushrooms for 40 years under USDA organic standards. And they're one of the largest in the world, really, and in my opinion, the highest of quality, which is why I joined them. I joined them 3 years ago because as mushrooms are becoming much more of interest in the consumer's mind and we're learning more about their value for the pets, I offered them the opportunity to let me formulate products for pets because up till then, all they've been doing are human products. And so they agreed. So that's the quest that I'm on with them. And of course, it's not just a matter of having a product that works. You also need to educate people in their use. And why it makes sense to do that, why it makes sense to spend money to help your pet on a mushroom product. And the book, which was a 3-year labor of love, I started out talking about cannabis in the book, and there is quite a bit about pet cannabis in the book.
Right.
But I really felt that pet parents are pretty knowledgeable about cannabis and about CBD. At least they've been hearing a lot of stuff years, but very little about mushrooms. And so when I start speaking about mushrooms, one of the first questions I'll get from a pet parent or even from a vet is, so is there a mushroom for this?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Keep going. Yes.
Is there a mushroom for this? And so that's kind of my rejoinder to that is, well, yes, there's a mushroom for that. No, it just kind of, after a while, I just said, oh, well, what a great title that is. And it turns out.
Let's just spend 3 years writing almost a 400 plus page book. But I got to talk to you about, I love the way you designed it. I love the outline. I actually was saying big words, but you made it understandable. But Pet Pals, what's really important, and I'm a former investigative newspaper reporter, so if your mother tells you she loves you, I say check it out. And some people with really good reputations in the world of veterinary medicine, like Dr. Karen Becker and Dr. Judy Morgan. Dr. Judy was just on our show last week, and Dr. Marty Goldstein. They're all singing the praises of Dr. Rob Silver's new book called, Hey, There's a Mushroom for That. So I want to have people get an understanding. I love mushrooms. Let's put it into context. You say in your book, there's the animal kingdom, there's the plant kingdom, and then there's the
fungal kingdom. Yes.
And what does that mean? That's a pretty powerful kingdom.
Well, there's certain characteristics that make all animals be animals, and there's certain characteristics that make all plants be plants. And those characteristics are different from this third kingdom, which is the fungal kingdom. We have discovered through our research that actually originally there was a precursor to both the animal and fungal kingdoms in that there was a single-celled organism early on that divided and became the fungal kingdom on one side and the animal kingdom on the other. And so what's really interesting is that all animals share about 30% of their DNA with fungi because we all came from the same origins. And
I didn't know that.
It is that fascinating. And my thinking is maybe that's why fungal infections are just so toxic. But at the same time, maybe that's why fungi could be such a good rescue from fungal infections and from a lot of other things that ail us. And so the big thing that I've been dealing with has been trying to, because there's so little research in animals about the use of fungi, about the use of mushrooms. There's a lot humans, there's a lot in laboratory animals. And so I'm trying to establish, by working with veterinarians, working with my own patients, to establish what applications do specific mushrooms have and what are they best at. We know that all mushrooms have very similar characteristics. They've all got these very sturdy cell walls that contain beta-glucans and chitin, both of which have medicinal properties in the body. We know they contain elements very much like cannabis, these terpenes that can cross the blood-brain barrier and signal membrane receptors in our brain that can create calmness. And just in the same way.
That's crazy, isn't it? Well, but the other point is this. You talk about the animal kingdom, you talk about the plant kingdom. In your book, you're saying experts like yourself are guesstimating there's up to 2.8 million different types of fungi. That's why you're the fungi expert.
Well, fungi are really important to our planet. I'm not sure how much we recognize that. I mean, we think about bread mold and spoiling our food. And mildew and black mold and things like that as being bad things about fungi. But we don't really realize how much fungi contribute to the ecology and to the health of our planet, because they break down dead and dying matter and they break it down into nutrients that then can be used by the living. It's also thought that the mycelium, which is part of the fungal life cycle, lives in the roots of plants and helps to nourish them, but also that the mycelium can create these large mycelial beds underneath forests, which wind up, we believe, to be like a communications network. Not only can it transfer nutrients from plant to plant, but apparently there's also chemical messengers, and they've done some fascinating studies that seem to support that. So fungi—
Well, the other part of that is this. You talk about its diversity. Talk about where you can find mushrooms these days in different kinds of climates. You talked about the Dead Sea. Keep going. What are some of the places people might be surprised?
Well, it's surprising how many different environments fungi and mushrooms can grow in. Now, fungi is a general term. A mushroom is a very specific life stage of a fungus that looks like a mushroom and has functions to it. But the other kinds of fungi, they can grow. They adapt to different environmental conditions. Now, we're all concerned about the change in the climate and what that may do in terms of the survival of fungi. And if fungi don't survive, then our planet won't either. But another thought about fungi is, what would we do without fungi in terms of bread and cheese and beer and wine, and you even use fungi to create antibiotics and medications and statin drugs. And I mean, they're so important to everything and all life on this planet. And so it's just totally fascinating. There's a great special on Netflix called Fantastic Fungi, and I'm going to
look for it. Yes.
Everyone to take a look at it. It was developed by Paul Stamets, who's considered one of the experts in fungi. And it really helps to, I think, explain just how important fungi are to our planet.
Hey, folks, we're speaking with Dr. Rob Silver. He is an integrative veterinarian. He is with Real Mushrooms, the company. And the guy, I think, is the holy grail of all things about mushrooms. And his new book is called There's a Mushroom for It. And I'm still reading it, but I've taken really good notes. And we're going to get into some of the things that mushrooms may help dogs and cats with, things that may surprise you. But we got to take a quick break. And the drill, we got to sit and stay. We'll be right back.
Hey, have you heard? Four-Legged Life has a new digital newsletter. Here, let me show you how you get yourself subscribed. So you just type in Four-Legged Life, and that'll take you to the website. There we go. And this magic thing just appears, and you type in your email address. I'll use, let's see, how about coolestdogever@gmail.com. That's me. And then you just click on this thing here. There you go. It's the new digital newsletter from Four Legged Life. Get subscribed today.
Welcome back to the Four-Legged Life Show. I'm your host, Arden Moore. One of my favorite guests is back. He is Dr. Rob Silver. He is the author of a book called There's a Mushroom for That, and he kindly sent it and actually did a nice inscription and sent it to me. Thank you. This means a lot to me, Dr. Rob. You in your book, I want to talk a personal thing right up with you.
Okay.
Ollie,
Yes.
tell everybody when it comes to Labradors, what are you called? You called yourself a self-confessed what?
Labaholic. I cycle through the different colors of labs because unfortunately our pets don't live as long as we do.
Yes.
I've had a black and I've had a chocolate. Ollie's my yellow or my almost white yellow lab.
Well, confess now. What is it about the labs? I've always heard the expression labs chew till they're two and shed till they're dead. That's a Dr. Marty Becker saying. What is it about labs and what's going on with Ollie that mushrooms may be helping?
I think what I like about labs is just that they're so personable and they're so loyal and kind of always underfoot, but I kind of like that. And they want to walk with you and go places and do things, always looking at me with those sad eyes going, are we going to go for the walk now? Or are we going to go?
Yeah.
So, I always have to make sure that there's time in my day for that. But I've just really liked the breed. I can't.
Well, you describe Ollie as nervous. And so what are some things medicinally you're able to do? Because didn't Ollie have some joint leg issues?
Well, Ollie was found at 3 months of age with a broken leg and a dislocated hip as a stray, and he was put into a kill shelter, which didn't have a veterinarian, which means there was no pain medicine being.
Oh, no.
And he was slated to be killed, but a good Samaritan in that area down south of Houston went into that shelter and saw him. And he's a really friendly guy. He's just likes people. And I'm sure they thought, well, how could we put this wonderful dog to sleep?
Yeah.
Called a lab rescue operation up here in Golden, Colorado, who sent a pilot down to bring Ollie back. And so Ollie saw their veterinarian who did an operation on that rear leg, but he has always limped. He doesn't have a hip joint on the left side. And as a lab, which typically have dysplastic hips, his right hip is doing so great either. And now that he's 10, time is starting to take its toll on him, unfortunately. So whatever happened to him that broke that leg and dislocated that hip also created PTSD in him. He has this fear in him, and it seems to be a fear of loud voice. It seems to be a fear of men because even though he's totally bonded to me and totally needy about being near me, he's scared to get too close. But my wife, he just dotes on.
He likes Hannah.
He does like Hannah, and I think it's other than the fact that she's a great person. I think it's because she's a woman, and I think that probably the original insult to him may have not been done by a truck or a car, but might have been a big person kicking him or doing something abusive to him. I don't know.
Well, that's what you point out in your book, and it covers a lot, everyone, that Dr. Rob Silver's talking about the use of medicinal mushrooms to help pets, maybe like Ollie, that have some anxiety, but you talk about allergies, skin disease, arthritis, digestive upsets, cancer, and beyond. So can you give people a little quick tip about what maybe is good working well for Ollie based on use of mushrooms?
Yeah, I get it. I could talk about Ollie.
I know.
To the points what you're saying. So what I do is I give Ollie my own branded CBG product, and it's not just CBD; it's also a cannabinoid called CBG.
Okay.
Both have very strong calming effects, not sedating, and they work through different mechanisms. So together they work synergistically. So he's been getting that on a regular basis. I do physical therapy in terms of petting him and touching him in certain ways to try to help him overcome his fear of being touched. And then I also give him mushrooms. And we know that there's a couple of mushrooms which have very settling, grounding, calming influences. One of them is called reishi, and reishi is considered the mushroom of immortality, probably one of the best known mushrooms in the world and has been in use and studied for thousands of years, really. And reishi extracts are used by Zen masters as a meditation aid because it's very calming and settling. Some people will take reishi before bed because they say it helps them sleep better. And what I have found is that when you combine the CBD with the mushrooms, you seem to get this synergy, and probably because they both have these molecules in them called terpenes, which cross the blood-brain barrier and signal certain parts of the brain to relax and to calm down. But I have a second mushroom in my formula, the Relax Mushroom Chews, which you had mentioned to me you were giving to your own critters. And that mushroom is called lion's mane. And lion's mane is
lion's mane,
the most popular mushroom in North America today, in part because it has been, we find that it helps with memory and it helps with cognitive issues, but it also kind of settles you down as well. And the combination of the two seems to work better than either one alone. So those are using those two mushrooms and using my CBD and using some touching of him and things like that help to him overcome his fear of being touched. The Mushroom Relax Chews, which is a specific product that people can purchase on the internet for their pets if they want their pets to be a little more chill. In addition to those two mushrooms, it doesn't contain CBD, but it does contain the amino acid tryptophan and the amino acid
turkey.
And we've got that date coming up here soon. But tryptophan is a precursor in the brain for the calming neurotransmitter that's called serotonin. And so the more tryptophan you take, the more serotonin your body produces and the calmer you get. That's one reason why people will. And milk also has quite a bit of this tryptophan in as well. That's why sometimes people will have milk before bed to help them with sleep as well. Theanine, another amino acid that's calming, is what gives green tea its zen. I mean, green tea has quite a bit of caffeine in it, but it doesn't really buzz you the same way that coffee does. And that's because of the theanine, which has this mellowing effect on that caffeine activity. So I've got that in there. Plus I've got some herbs that are calming like catnip and valerian and flower and lemon balm, all of which help to give, because mushrooms don't oftentimes have an immediate response like a drug or like CBD might or like some herbs. They really need to they have a slight initial effect, but really they have a much more profound effect when you use them over time. So
well, you even said in your book, wellness is not just the absence of disease. It is trying, and some things takes longer time than others. And this is where I wish I could talk hours with you, but we have a couple minutes left. I want people to know the importance of this book because you also talk for people who have kitty cats. And you've talked about some of the situation. You called them a sweet tooth for potato chips because cats really shouldn't have any carbs. But you have a plan for them. You had a game plan for dogs too. So if you kind of step back and look at this book you just did, it's divided into giving us the history and what the heck are mushrooms and other things that can help you. But you have personal stories with dogs like Chester and Poochie and others. So I really like that you made it relevant and personal.
Well, I've been teaching and talking to pet parents and veterinarians for many years. I've been doing this for
you do a good job, Dr. Rob.
But I've realized that whether I'm teaching vets or I'm teaching pet parents, that stories really just nail it. They just send that message home because people really can relate to the stories much more than just factual stuff.
Yes.
And so I originally, when I first wrote the book, I didn't do the stories. I just kind of was very scientific, and I got some criticism, good criticism from people that I respect. And I changed it and said, okay, I'm going to put these stories in there. And so I dredged into the many hundreds and thousands of patients that I've seen and put those together. And I don't have a lot on the cats, but I do have cats under anxiety because I think the way cats manifest anxiety and the way it's addressed in cats is different than with dogs.
Oh, absolutely.
But with the other conditions, the things that I'm recommending for the dogs really also do fit with cats. We do allergies, we do arthritis, we do anxiety, two-type dog and cat anxiety, do cancer. And that cancer chapter is a big chapter. It was really it was a recent case with a person who's turned out to be who the pet parent, even though we lost over time, we wound up losing the dog. The dog's parent has become one of my best friends and has been very instrumental in mentoring me in this book because he's a published author. So we've also got something on epilepsy.
Right. And digestive and inflammation. These are big things. These are big topics.
And then,
go ahead.
And that's the second story that I tell about Ollie, because you really talk when you write and when you should talk about things that you really know well. I think that way you can really convey that information the best. And I know Ollie really well, so I thought it's a good subject for these stories.
Well, everyone, I really do want you to get your paws on Dr. Rob Silver's latest book. This is a good one. This is kind of a book everyone should, who has a dog or cat and cares about their total health, mental, physical. It's called There's a Mushroom for That. And how do we get our paws on that, Dr. Rob, and find out more about you?
Well, it's available on Amazon, which is probably the easiest way to get it because it'll come to you really quickly. We're also offering it for sale through my website, which is Well Pet Dispensary, which is also where I do sell some mushrooms and I sell my branded CBD products as well as other supplements for pet health, many of which I talk about in the book. But if you order it from my website, then I will sign it for you.
Nice.
That takes a little longer to ship out and all than Amazon, which who can be?
You're not as big as Amazon, but you know what? Move over Amazon because we have Dr. Rob Silver on our show. Yes. WellPetDispenser.com.
Well, yeah, just like it sounds. WellPetDispensary.com. Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm sorry. The time goes by really fast. This is a man I'm going to have back on because we can dive into some other things. This book is so comprehensive, and I've learned a lot about mushrooms and fungi and everything from you. I have still much to learn. I am a student, a grasshopper in your terms. And I do want to thank you for being a come back on our show, Dr. Rob. I think you're doing good stuff.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate your praise. Thank you.
Thanks so much for making our tails wag by watching this guest interview from Arden Moore's Four-Legged Life. Four-Legged Life. Make sure to subscribe so you're up to date with all of our Four-Legged Life content. Four-Legged Life. Four-Legged Life.